kind of share out or Casey, what you guys talked about?
Yeah, we can tag team a little bit. So we do have some folks that are working on EV safety concerns actively. Even if they don't have EVs, they're still trying to dispel myths from the both. So some audiences that are providing concerns that people are having to deal with, general public, obviously, like if there is a post or something on social media and there's an opportunity, obviously, like the general public can push back and provide some feedback on concerns. Definitely focused on working with fire and EMS, and public works staff too. So some folks were concerned about mechanic safety as well as fire safety and or not electrification, electrocution. That's the word. So it feels like there's a lot of different types of audiences that need to have materials that are addressed. Several folks are actively having conversations with the fire departments or emergency management teams. Some folks are having regular meetings. So there's a conversation about getting folks together regularly, convening conversations so that we can understand, so that y'all can understand what are the challenges and what are the myths that need to be dispelled or actual safety fears that need to be addressed. Other folks are collaborating, say with fire. Town of Chapel Hill has purchased fire blankets and or offered up tokens of like, let's collaborate on addressing these things together by providing resources, and also hosting events, or pulling resources from community colleges or technical schools that may be nearby, that can help provide trainings to mechanics and or other team members, and serve as sort of that technical resource and partners. There was a conversation about having a third party, whether it be clean fuels or a technical college, to come in and be seen as sort of that collaborative and supportive partner, as opposed to having like the sustainability team just this is our thing and we're going to push this down your throats. That having that third party expertise is going to be really important for these conversations. And sorry, I'm skipping ahead a little bit just to give a little bit more time to folks. In Raleigh, Rick's putting together a video that is not ready to share yet, but there's some resources that folks are pulling together that we can share with this group. So Rick said he would give us the thumbs up when that's ready to share, but they'll be using that as an onboarding tool for their team internally, but also could be shared more broadly than that, just to give folks an opportunity to learn from what Raleigh's doing. And we also talked about building codes and limitations, but really on the opportunity side, Kimberly said that in Morrisville, they have an updated UDO, Unified Development Ordinance, that promotes EV readiness and also explicitly says no charging stations in the floodplains. Although we had a comment on maybe there needs to be a little bit more specificity around that, since the floodplains, those have been fluctuating recently in North Carolina. So anything else, Casey, or anybody else from our group that they'd like to share?
The only thing I would share is we did have, and Dory was a part of it, we had on our work group call on Tuesday, another giant debrief on myths and what's going on. So I'll send that to Dory to include with what all we've gone as soon as we get that cleaned up and a little prettier, so folks can be wildly entertained by what's being heard out there in the world.
Yeah. And also there was we had Kyle from the BDC COG that shared that they did have a fire recently. They had a real life situation that they had to learn from. And so Kyle has lots of things to share if you want to talk to somebody about a bus fire, and how they sort of navigated that conversation. But I think the common thread throughout these conversations is like opening it up for discussion, making sure people feel heard, making sure that, real concerns can be addressed, and that there's not, there's just a space for that. So I'll pass it over to y'all.
Thank you, Meg. Stan, do you want to do a wrap up or do you want me to?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. I think just what I'll add from our breakout room to what Meg said is the sort of the need to parse out when we're talking about safety issues, where they're being used by folks who just don't want to see EVs adopted as an excuse for not adopting EVs versus when the conversation is serious about safety concerns. And folks noted that in some of their communities, once kind of somebody sees a video or hears a story about fires not being safe, there's a tendency to become obsessive about that safety. So how you're sort of meeting that in a constructive way. There was folks expressed a desire for examples, statistics, almost like a one pager on the reality of EV safety that can be used to sort of preempt or at least stymie some of that more fear-based or perhaps ill intent of bringing up safety as really a way to just slow down the transition to electric vehicles. So I thought that was really interesting. We also noted that scattered across the Southeast, there are safety professionals who are working constructively on this issue, and do maybe set an example for how local governments can address this. And so how can we sort of gather information from them or bring them together to help educate us on what a constructive approach looks like to electric transportation safety concerns. No, Dora, do you want anything else to that?
No, I think though that just to expand on that a little bit and then maybe help us segue is as we're thinking about our next in-person meeting, how can we make sure that this conversation continues in a constructive way, in a way that's most beneficial to you? So one of the things that we discussed in our group is potentially having a panel of folks that are being proactive and constructive in their communities, be that like EMS folks, fire safety folks, risk management folks coming and talking and being able to, have that proactive conversation. Also, in terms of resources, us compiling what policy exists across the region around these different topics, being able to kind of pull it together and share that out with y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again so that I can make sure that we're all aware of what's coming. There we go. Okay, so just wanted to make sure that on everybody's radar is the in-person event, February 6th and 7th. Like I said, we've got the email going out to invite y'all to that later today. But then also the link is the registration page is there, and agenda and logistics page. Because of the holidays, the way that it's working, we really need to get everybody registered in names by December 16th, which is short. So so please, if you know you're coming, go ahead and get signed up, because we need to be able to get the hotel, the names to the hotel, and SACE offices are going to be closed for 2 weeks at the end of December and the beginning of January. So wanted to put that out there. We also have a storytelling request. I know that a lot of you have worked together to share information, share resources. So if you have benefited from another local government or municipality on a particular issue that you'd be willing to have us kind of interview you and tell that story, we would love to be able to do that. Along those lines, for the in-person event, we also want to get feedback for topics. So if you know of something that you really is like burning issue that is not on the agenda, and you would like to see it added, then please reach out to somebody from SSDN or myself or Stan, because I have been having conversations, one-on-one conversations with you guys about what is top of mind, what's needed most, because again, the event is for y'all. So we want to make sure that it's meeting your needs in the best way possible when we have our precious in-person time together. And then I think those were all of the points that I wanted to raise. Anybody from SSDN team or Stan have anything else before we break up?
I was just going to ask Dora, did you have one more polling question you wanted to
We
put up?
do have one more polling question. If we can pull that up, yeah, that would be helpful. So it's just looking at like if state or federal funds were made available, what would you advocate spending on? And again, thinking through that maybe this wouldn't come from your budget. It may come from another department that has a greater budget that works directly with some of the fire and safety issues. But what would you think would be a wise choice for spending on? So if you wouldn't mind answering that, and then we can wrap up the call unless there's anything else.
No, I'll just, as folks are filling out the poll, just, thank you all for, continuing to participate in this collaborative. We're really excited to see, this keep rolling and to remember that thanks to the generous support from the Tides Foundation and Mosaic grant that we received, like the lodging is provided for February 6th for the convening. The food will be provided and registration is free. And we have $100 stipends available to help support travel. So look forward to you all getting that registration into Dory by the 16th of December and really appreciate you all and look forward to seeing you in person in February.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful afternoon. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Good to see y'all.